I have yet to do this perfectly when I close off one and open up another and have my music going. So thank you for your patience. This is Kathy Beatty, and I am coming to you Friday Night Live to speak into your life to help those of you who are going through or have gone through the trauma of divorce. If you have experienced divorce, you know how very painful and difficult this is. And it's bewildering and confusing and depressing and chaotic and all of those things. And so, for someone to come alongside of you and to guide you is so critically important. And that's my role. That's what I do. When I divorce coach, when I hold a support group, when I am a domestic mediator, I am here to help you get through this trauma. And what I like to say is I like to get you through with the least amount of damage. You find my core slide here. My work is to guide people through the trauma of divorce with the least amount of damage emotionally, financially, spiritually, physically. How can we minimize that? We can. We truly can minimize that. And that's by understanding, getting the support, getting the information that you need, allowing yourself permission to grieve and go through this process. So tonight, I want to talk to you about those of you who perhaps are over 55 and going through a divorce. Never what you had planned on. And you're saying, I am too old to go through a divorce. I don't know how to do this. And that's true for the majority of people that I work with. They don't know how to do this because they've never been here before. Some of you have been married 20, 30, 40 years going through a divorce. It is devastating if you're in your 20s, but it has some other complexities as you are older and going through divorce. And we'll go through some of those today. You may have noticed on one of my slides that my next support group is October 10th. It will be online and also in person. So connect with me for a registration form. It will be the best 10 weeks you have spent in going through this process of divorce. I have so many people say to me how profound this was. It was simply by me giving an opportunity, a space, a safe space for you to process all that you are going through. That is critical right now, that you have that place where you can process through and hear other people as they explain their story. And you say, wait, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one here. I am not crazy. This is not as odd and peculiar as I think this process is because other people are going through it. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it tonight and give you some tools and techniques to get through it. First of all, I want you to know that you're not alone. Sadly, you are not alone. If you are older, 55 and older, and going through a divorce, you're not alone. In fact, in 2022, there are 16 million, it's now 23, but there were 16 million people living solo. That is 3 times the number of 1960s. And we're actually living longer than 1960s. So what does that tell you? It tells you that there is something, a phenomenon going on called the gray divorce. People over 55 who are going through this process for a number of reasons I won't get into today. There's a lot of research on it, and there are a variety of reasons, which that's interesting, but it's not relevant to you right now if you're going through this divorce and you're over 55 and you are pretty much thinking, I'm alone. No one else is going through this. No one in my family has gone through divorce. I've heard that so many times. Nobody is going through divorce in my family. I don't even know anyone who's divorced, which is, I don't know where you've been living if you haven't heard of someone going through divorce, but maybe it's not current that you've heard of divorce. But you are not alone. And I want you to know that. So you are not this odd duck. In fact, you are going to see in front of you so many people as you are sharing this story, your story, that people are going to say, I went through a divorce too. And you're like, what? But you're a person who's all together and successful and your life is going great. And you went through a divorce? Yeah. Yeah. This is not that rare. Sadly, it's still equally tragic, even though it happens more frequently. But it happens more frequently. And I want you to know that you're not alone so that you don't isolate yourself and think that you are someone who has this big D on your forehead. You don't. You don't. And that is helpful for you to know that as you go through this process. Next, I want to tell you the importance of needing to grieve, to allow yourself to grieve, to wrestle with this pain, to argue with this pain, to stomp your feet, to cry, to scream and say, this is not right. This is not fair. Protest it. You have every right to do that. Find that safe space. I believe that safe space is before God, your creator, because anything you say to him, he knows, he gets, he's not offended. He's not going to shut you down. He's not going to shame you. He's going to allow you to grieve and to process. If you go through the Psalms, you'll see a lot of grief examples in there. And you also need to grieve. You need to look at how much you've lost. And this is not to magnify the grief and to make you feel worse, but it's part of this process to identify, to articulate what are the things that you have lost. And then be that brave person who chooses to face and to feel the intense emotions that you are feeling. That is very important to do that, because if you stuff it and if you just deny it, it's going to creep up in some really difficult and complicated ways in your health, in other relationships, in keeping you stuck. So you need to grieve, to face and feel what's real inside of you. Don't deny it. Find that safe space to do it. And then, oh, how many times have I shared this with you? Get the support that you need. A support group is going to allow you the opportunity to vocalize what you are experiencing. It really dismantles, disintegrates its power inside of you. It does. Because if you keep it stuffed in and the only voice you're hearing is the one inside your head, that's scary because your feelings are not helpful right now. They are, they're lying to you in many ways. They are depressing you, oppressing you. So you need to face those feelings. You need to find that support. Go to a therapist. And you may say, well, I've never been to a therapist in my life. Now's the time to do it. You cannot go through divorce alone. You cannot. It is critically important that you get the support, get that therapist, get the support group. Find those friends who are non-judgmental, who will hear your story and will not judge you or try to fix you, but they will walk alongside of you as you go through this process. And also, in getting your support, distance yourself from those people who you know are toxic. Right now, your energy needs to be maximized in the places of priority. You don't have the energy right now to be spending on people who are not walking alongside of you. Distance yourself from them, put up those boundaries, let them know you need some space, you need some time, and maybe later you will revisit, or maybe later you'll decide this person is no longer safe for me, nor are they beneficial for my life. So get the support you need, but also make sure that you let go of those people who are toxic, and they may even be in your own family. They may be in your own family. If they are blaming you or shaming you, get away. Do not walk, but run away from them. And this may be close family members. This may be your kids. This may be people that you never thought would be toxic right now or not be helpful right now. But it happens for all of us, those people who we thought would be there and they aren't. So don't be alone. You're not alone. You need to grieve. You need to get your support. The fourth point I want to make is be realistic but hopeful. As you go through this process, and when this divorce is finished, you need to take an honest look at your life, an honest look at your finances, an honest look at your relationships, an honest look of your living space, every aspect of your life. You need to take an honest look at. That's what this book is for. 8 weeks. I've got a class coming up in it sometime in the fall. I haven't located the date yet. 8 weeks, building your future after divorce. This goes through every aspect of your life, allows you to take an assessment and work out those things that no longer fit in your life. I want you to be realistic. I want you to look at those real numbers, not what you think or not what you once lived, but the reality of the numbers. And I want you to be hopeful. I want you to know that beyond this messy, painful, awful transition, there is life on the other side. And I was working with a woman today I'm like 55. I'm 55 going through this. You know what? At least she's not 65. She's not 75. She's not 85. She's 55. There's a lot of room for her to recreate herself and to create a good life. And maybe you're listening and you are 65 or 75, maybe even older. There's still hope. There's still time for you to have a very fruitful life of redefining your values, of finding people to contribute to, take all of your life wisdom to contribute into. Be hopeful. Your life is not over with yet. You have potential, possibility, and a future yet. I don't care how old you are. And I don't care how much money you end up with or the small apartment that you're living in, as opposed to the big house that you once had. Your life is not evaluated and valued by those measurements at all. So please believe that. There is still adventure to be found and joy to be experienced and life to be lived. And you, my friend, need to hear that because it is very true. Very true. I've worked with many people in over 55 going through divorce. Some of them had very little means after this divorce was over. But when they are intentional in finding their purpose, in finding their true values, and quite frankly, finding the purpose of their life that God designed. He didn't design for you your value to be in a role, whether that's mother or husband or wife or professional. The value of your life is, first of all, you were created by a living God. And second of all, He has a plan for you. You may be more effective in these remaining years than you have been all the years before now. Why? How could that be? Because you have become and will become intentional and focused on what's really important. And a lot of the fluff, a lot of the non-essentials has been taken away from you. And now perhaps you are able to see more clearly what's important in life. And that is loving other people, contributing to other people. Oh, there's so much life to be lived. So much. Don't lose hope. Please know that. One other point I have to throw out there. I know I've stopped numbering, but this is critical. You must be willing to take risk to create a new life. Take that assessment, find out your values. Got to be willing to take risk. I've done many talks on this, how important it is, because if you don't take risk, Your life is not going to change and move forward. Okay, I'm going long again tonight. Want to give you just a few verses that I hope are encouraging. I love this. It comes out of Ecclesiastes 7:10. Do not say, why were the old days better than these? For it's not wise to ask such questions. The past is the past. Cherish the days that you have and make something valuable out of them. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. I know you're weary and I know you feel weak, but with you aligning alongside of God in finding your life purpose and living with Him directing, you are going to find the strength and increase of power that you need and maybe have never experienced in your whole life, even to your own age, old age and gray hairs. I am He, and this is God talking. Even to your old age and gray hairs, I am He. I am He who will sustain you. I have made you and I will carry you. I will sustain you and I will rescue you. Isaiah 46:4. And lastly, I love this verse. Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. You have gained a lot of knowledge over the years. Now it's time to find wisdom, to apply the knowledge, to align with God's direction in your life, to have wisdom to impart to your children, to your grandchildren, in your own life, into those whose lives you step into to contribute to. Your life is not over. Divorce feels like it's an ending. It is a messy destination to a future that you are going to create. I hope this has been encouraging of help. Reach out to me, connect with me for October 10th, my next group. I cannot wait to see what God does with the rest of your life. This is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous, walking with you every step of the way through and after the trauma of divorce. Have a good evening.